Welcome, everybody. It is Friday, and we are here back with the weekly WP Roundup with BJ Keeton. That is me. And every Friday afternoon, we get together and we talk about the best news and tutorials and resources that I was able to find this week that was published about WordPress. So if you have any kind of questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. Feel free to ask, join in on the conversation. And all of the links that I'll be talking about today are going to be in the description of this video, so make sure that you expand that and follow along. Give the content creators a few clicks through, that way we can keep on doing what we're doing with them doing that. I see that there are a ton of people already saying hi on YouTube. That is awesome. Trying to move this out of the way of my mouth. I see some maybe some new people. That's great. Names I don't recognize. So hello, hello, hello. I want to apologize if you are normally a Facebook viewer. There is a bit of technical difficulty getting to Facebook right now, since they have upped their RMTP server to secure our. We're having issues with it, and a lot of other people are too. And we're trying to get that sorted out with the company. So that's awesome. So you can always find us here. And that was the same with Tuesday's stream as well. So I see people are new web developer and Divi member. I'm loving the theme. Awesome. Good to hear, Michael. I see just tons of people, so I get distracted by the comments, so bear with me. So I'll start out. I want to go through the news. There were some really cool things this week. I was really actually very excited about this first one. Apparently, and I didn't know this, Codecademy had deprecated and gotten rid of all of their PHP courses that they offered. They were old, they were buggy, they said, and they just weren't enough. They were the least used courses on the website, and so they took them off, honestly, because they weren't getting the use to justify the cost. And they this week put up a new one. They have a new PHP course called Learn PHP that's roughly, they say, about 3 hours. And the reason I bring this up is because I was one of the people who went through the very last bit of the PHP that they had before. Excuse me. I did not turn my cell phone on silent like I thought I did. But I was one of the few people who did PHP at Codecademy where during that last bit, and it did really well for me. It didn't teach me how to fully write an application or anything, but it refreshed me on getting to the point where I could read much more comfortably what was going on in the WordPress core files and plugin files and things like that. So when they took that off, I was like, I didn't know that they did when I read this. So I'm glad to hear that they have this one, because it is a great, even if you are, you don't deal with writing PHP all the time, these kinds of courses are great to be able to teach you on just the basics of looking at the code, making sure you know what you're looking at, and that way when you go in, you don't end up messing something up that may not need to be messed with. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever done any of these online code courses, but when I started switching from academics to this, actually, to the WordPress stuff, they were really instrumental in just giving me that extra boost that I needed to be really confident. So I love this. I love that they have a new PHP course, especially as PHP is actually growing right now. It's still not, it's not JavaScript. It's not anything where you're going to be. It's not the new hotness, but they are pushing out new versions. WordPress is moving up with new PHP version requirements, so there's still a lot going on there, and I think we're all gonna need to at least be able to look at it and read, because it's still what WordPress is based on. So check out that course. 3 hours to get through all of it's really not that bad. And you're not, like I said, you're not going to learn how to do a full application. That's what one of the commenters on WP Tavern in the link said. You're not going to learn how to do a full application in it, but you're going to learn the basics to be able to recognize things, and that's really important. Excuse me. Drink. Now, speaking of PHP, The second link is a WP Lift article on how to upgrade WordPress to PHP 7 and why you need to. This is a reason. I just got distracted by a comment. I'm sorry. This one is super important because WordPress, like I said, is upping what their requirements are. So you will probably have clients who don't know what PHP they're running. They don't know why they need to upgrade it, and they may not know how. So this is a really good resource. I think that we should all just bookmark this because it walks you through everything. This goes into upgrading it from old versions to new. It is great. Check this out. I put it under news because of the PHP course that I found, and this is also super important for everybody right now. That article actually taught me there was a PHP 7.3 that I had no idea was out, that I thought was only at 7.2. So we all need to keep up with it a little bit. I see Uncle Social says, I don't have time to learn PHP. His efforts go to trying to master the Divi menus, and Donyetta and Jason's Divi stuff. Like, their stuff is crazy. I see, hi Bruno. I'm glad that I'm gonna butcher this one. Alma Moon loves Divi. I'm glad. I see Sam Crow's a first timer here. Welcome, welcome. I think that's fantastic. I love seeing new faces, and by faces I mean your name in the chat. But I'm very glad to see you guys here. And also, the very last thing that I wanted to put into the news is not specifically about WordPress, which I know that's kind of weird in a WP Roundup, but I brought this up because of a conversation actually that Uncle Social and I had on Twitter. There is a link in the third one down on the description of this video that's an SQL injection in Magento's core. It has been patched, but the reason that I bring this up is that A, it's very important. You need to make sure that you can't get harmed by this if you're running Magento. And also, I want to point this out because it's going to start affecting some of you. There's a thing that's getting really popular right now called headless WordPress, and there's headless e-commerce. You may have seen the plugin review that we did on our site called BigCommerce. That's kind of what they do. And Uncle Social had messaged me and was talking about running into a new client who was running WordPress on Magento, which was something that he'd never run into before, and it's something that I've never run into before. And so there's a lot of these headless WordPress ideas and hybrids coming out, and this is one of them that you need to make sure that you are up to date on what's going on. And if you have any clients who are running Magento or anything, be aware that you might have to be staying up on some other CMSs and other platforms for security as well, as the headless thing keeps moving forward. I see Kathleen on YouTube. Well, this is all YouTube because Facebook's not streaming. I just started using Divi 2 weeks ago, and she's blown away. I'm loving it. You're in that awesome stage, Kathleen. Sorry, you're in that awesome stage, Kathleen, where you will, everything that you see is just amazing, and then the longer that you get at it, you're gonna find that it can do so much more stuff with that same feature than you ever thought was possible. You should watch some of the videos that Jason and Donyetta do with Divi, because it's stuff that the ordinary modules that you see, it's like, oh, this is great, I'm going to use this, and you do great things with it at the point you're at, and it's like that 2 years later, like, I didn't know Divi could do that with what it is. It's crazy. It just keeps getting, just absolutely keeps getting better and more awesome. So I'm right there. I see Pablo asks, what is headless WordPress? I think we have an article coming out on that pretty soon. There is an article actually in the bottom of the description of this that talks about that. It is under, let me find it here, to answer your question, Pablo. It is the third one under resources. It talks about headless e-commerce and talks about more of what it is. It's using WordPress and another platform at the same time, using one as a database and one as a front end, where you're holding information in different places so that it's not all bottlenecking in one. It's very efficient and it's very fast, and places like Amazon are using it, are using headless e-commerce a lot, because not everything is connected in one particular site in CMS. But it's going to it's really taking off right now, specifically with WordPress. But yeah, if you want to look and see exactly what that is, the third link under the resources is a headless e-commerce link, uh, so that y'all can see what exactly that one is, because it's not something that most people are going to have to worry about. I don't think all of us are going to be going to a headless WordPress installation anytime soon, if ever. But you are going to end up getting clients who run into this, who are using this and have already been set up on it by someone else, like Uncle Social was this week. So just a warning to you that you'll run into that, and a heads up so that you guys can just be aware it's out there, so that when you see it, you're not going to be completely taken aback by, I don't know if I can take this job. So hopefully you'll be able to do that pretty well when it happens. So that was the news. Like I said, and I see that that's big news on some cases here, because that's the first time y'all are hearing about that. If you go back through the archives of this stream, they're on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. I don't know which one, but there are a couple of other headless WordPress articles on the stream archives that I briefly touch on, that are in the description, that you can click on. I just don't remember which week it is, because it was a while back. So I see Joker on YouTube. I'm so used to saying on YouTube, but we're all on YouTube right now. Joker on YouTube says how to create a simple animation with Divi. That depends, but the easiest way, the base way to do an animation is to, in your module, go into the design tab and then scroll all the way to the bottom, and there is an animations tab, an animations area. So you'll be able to set what that particular module does with animations. You should be able to do that with sections and rows as well. Just in terms of getting the individual animations and how to make them beautiful, that is entirely up to you and by site by site. Donyetta and Jason have some great animation tutorials on the site. They excuse me. They are wizards when it comes to animation and hover effects and things like that. So those tutorials are the ones that see specific animations. But I see Pablo chimed in on here as well. Using the animations in the modules in the design tab would be your starting point for doing that. And you can combine them as well. That's one thing that to keep in mind, that you can combine animations between rows, sections, and modules, so that you can have them display with delays and things like that to make them more dynamic, rather than everything all crashing together at once, like it is 2003. I see Al Mamoon. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Improve the navigation menu for more customization. Kindly improve. Excuse me. I didn't want to make you seem make me read that wrong. It is coming. We are working on the navigation menus right now. We actually want it as users to be able to do that. Until then, check out a plugin called Divi Mega Pro. It does really good things with the menu. I think it's from Divi Life over with Tim Striffler, I believe, does it. But it's a very good plugin that does some of the stuff that I think you're looking at right now, and it's a Divi specific plugin. But yeah, we're looking forward to that too. Just as users, just on side project sites, I've looked at the menu and be like, I just need to do this with the menu and I can't. So we're looking really forward to that header and footer customizer ourselves. Oh, Joker, you really did make my day. Thank you. You're probably the best advisor out there. I don't think that's necessarily true, but I don't know, Pablo, that one, the Superfly. I don't know a lot about the Superfly plugins because I've never used them myself. I know of them. So yeah, I know they have good ones. I haven't used that. Is there a specific one in particular that you're recommending? Or is that the name of it, the plugin? Because it really could be. Because I don't know names, and naming convention on plugins gets pretty cool sometimes. So I want to move into the tutorial section. And if you're joining us a little bit late, we went through the news section already. There wasn't a whole lot of news, but there's a new PHP course on Codecademy. There's a link on how to upgrade to PHP 7 and why you need to, because it's super important. And then to be aware that there's an SQL injection on Magento, and that there is a patch for it no matter what branch you're on, and you can patch it right now. That said, the tutorials, the first thing on here is how to align things in CSS. Now, I included this specifically for you guys because I saw it and I cannot remember who brought up the discussion one week. I wish I could, but there was some stuff that we were having a big discussion about, like VWs and VHs, and when to use this and that. And CSS alignment is kind of a nightmare these days. Being able to decide exactly how to align what with everything else is just enough to make your head explode. So when I saw this, that it was published yesterday, I immediately put it at the top of the tutorials list. So it's it's awesome, because walks you through what everything is, from line height, what you can do with it, and you keep scrolling down and you get box alignment with justifying, and then aligning the self and align items, what you can do with containers with like display flex and display block. It's just awesome. And Smashing Magazine always puts out top-notch, top-tier articles, and this is absolutely no different. This is one where if you keep this one bookmarked, this one, honestly, I do think would be more useful than Googling it when you need to and hitting like W3 schools, like I'm pretty sure that most of us do, because it explains it so well and gives the example, and has the code pen that you can play with it yourself. I cannot believe how good this article turned out to be. When I clicked it, I expected a list. I was like, oh yeah, they're going to go through this and show what all you can do. And they just took it up to a level I did not expect. Like, they went through everything, because they even start talking on how to use flex and grid, and it, in one article, just bookmark it. Like that's the best I can do right now. Just bookmark it. So it is good stuff on how you see all of it, and it's got the differences in align and justify. It's just awesome. So Smashing knocked it out of the park once again, like they usually do. There is an article, the second one down here. Oh, sorry, I see one thing. I'll pause on that one. Pablo did say that yes, the plugin is called so it's that's a really good name. So that one will be good. And this is the last with the ugly dog on the wall. Yep, we are gonna have this crazy dog. I don't actually know what April's dog looks like, but you'll see it next Friday. And I see that Joker asks, tell what's the best hosting, because hosting, yes, it is the mother thing. It is so confusing. Okay. I don't want to make any recommendations, specifically because this isn't a sponsored kind of thing. We're not biased or anything like that. We actually run on a lot of different hosts individually and all that. So first, I want to invite the community to answer that one first with what they recommend, and then I will actually go through some of the options as I've seen them. WP Engine is one of the top ones. I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's a managed WordPress host. It is, if you are looking for top-notch, enterprise level WordPress hosts, WP Engine is definitely worth a look. I feel the same way about Flywheel. It is a fantastic host that's managed with everything. It is generally aimed at designers. They have a workflow specifically made for you to hand off designs and move from client to client, where a lot of the other ones are a little bit harder to do and transfer between accounts. Flywheel is designed for that. And so if you're building a lot and handing them off and trying to manage things, that's something to look into. I've had luck with migrating to SiteGround. Their support was really good doing that. And then I have heard really, really good things about. I had it in my mouth right then. I was about to say it. What I've heard really good things about, and I lost it. I completely lost it. Other people are doing this. Bluehost has been great with somebody. Jerry says, when I was on Bluehost, I see that Madalena says I'm on Bluehost, but my websites are super light, so you're not testing them too much. I was the same way. I used Bluehost for a bit, but it was always with light sites. I never did anything majorly heavy on there. I've been on HostGator before, where moving to SiteGround did speed up a little on that one. But HostGator never did me wrong, to be honest. With everything that I did, I stayed with them for years personally. There's Pantheon, which gets really, really good reviews. If you have never checked out Pantheon, the folks there are really, really nice, and they provide fantastic hosting as well. I've never used them personally, but I know a lot of people do. If you want a lot of customization, if you are the kind of person who likes to pick apart your Android phone and customize every last little thing, then you should really look into Cloudways. It's a managed host where you basically piecemeal together what you want and what you need. So you can have a droplet on DigitalOcean that's running email from Rackspace. And but if you don't need something that comes with other hosting providers, you're not paying for it. It's really, really good, but it does take more setup and maintenance to make sure that you have your particular little server, your little corner of the internet where it needs to be. Excuse me. Excuse me. That was I liked them as well. I was on there for a bit. I ended up moving away from that because I am not the kind of person who wants to tinker with everything. Because I just I'm an iPhone person right now. I came back from Android because I just kind of want stuff that will go and I don't have to worry too much about it on the side. Otherwise, I would probably still be there because I had a good time there. We have a review of a lot of these on the blog as well, and I see people on in the chat giving recommendations on them. That is awesome. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Hopefully, Joker, that will get you at least some places to start looking. Other than that, like you said, there are so many out there. It is really, really hard to start with on where to be. And generally, it's pick one, get it, see what you like, see what works and what doesn't, and then find a particular host that works for you on that one, like works particularly for that issue that can fix it. Also, I've seen Kinsta have good reviews. I've seen that they have a very low bounce rate on in terms of people leaving, so that means something. I haven't seen. I think they have like a 96% retention rate among people, which is great. Lots of people love SiteGround. I had done an article one time and not included SiteGround, and the comments made me go revise it and take another look at SiteGround. Hosting is one of those things that you will see a lot of people get very passionate about. And it's because this is where your livelihood really rests more than anything. So making a good decision is incredibly important. But it's rare, and it will happen, don't get me wrong. It is rare to make a bad decision. The only things I tend to personally avoid are local hosts. And I mean by local, I mean like they're only in your hometown kind of thing, unless you're in New York or, a larger area. But if you're in a small area, I've seen too many of them flop. I've seen too many small business hosts flop and people lose their information. And as much as I would love to say go with the smaller hosts like that, I've seen too many people lose information and lose their entire websites and have to start from scratch with nothing before, because they couldn't get them back. Those people were handling the backups, and it was just, I prefer to go with someone with a tried and true reputation. So yeah, I see Uncle Social says on here, I would never move to a host that didn't use cPanel. I love cPanel more than I love pizzas. Oh, black olives and anchovies are gross. Actually, anchovies are fine, but black olives, no. But cPanel I do like. If you go with WP Engine or Flywheel or Kinsta, or even GoDaddy Pro with their managed WP stuff, I think that's what it is, managed WP. You're not going to have a cPanel or really necessarily a WordPress backend like you normally would. Some of them handle things a little bit differently, so it just depends on what you need on that as well. I like cPanel because I mess around with enough stuff that I want to do that, and whenever I've had it on one of the other ones, I get really frustrated when I can't. I don't want to have to mess with it, but I want to have the option to, is generally the way that I look at technology. So yeah, avoid resellers. Yeah, Uncle Social said stuff like that. Try and host with whoever owns the servers. Awesome. Yeah, I see people. Great, you guys are awesome. I love you guys. So I want to move forward just to point out a couple more of these tutorial articles as we go down. Get Flywheel, mention Flywheel. They have a great tutorial on how to create Gutenberg blocks. So if you're still looking on wanting to get into block development, we're still in the very early stages of that. So you can read their article about it. And we at the Elegant Themes blog posted an article called How Responding versus Reacting Can Improve Your Business. And this is one I think we should all check out. This is one that I've actually considered getting tattooed on me, of respond, not react, because it has saved me in a lot of situations to just be able to take a breath. The difference in responding instead of reacting to something is taking a step, taking a breath, stopping for a moment, and actually calculating what you do next instead of going with your gut instinct. I'm really bad about that. I'm really bad about that on reacting to things and just flying off the handle and being impulsive. And so in business, that can really ruin you. So it's something like shooting off an email too soon. When somebody calls you and is being aggressive, not being aggressive right back at them, or when a customer is yelling in your face on trying to maintain your composure and respond well to them as opposed to reacting poorly. The number of times I've had to apologize for someone, either call them back, send an email, or walk into their office and apologize for reacting so poorly to something. I cannot count on both of my hands anymore. So I implore you to read this and just think about it. It will avoid fights if you do this with spouses and loved ones. I can, one time when I was first learning about this, I was really practicing this on taking a breath and stopping in everything, in business, in personal life, everything. And my wife said something and I just got irate about it. Like, we were driving down the road on vacation. She said something. I was like, she's like, what is it? I'm like, this is me responding. And it was nothing. There was nothing for me to get mad at. Looking back, I don't know what it was. She didn't know what it was, but I didn't let it bother me. But it was just going through the motions of not saying the first thing that came out of my mouth and could have made that trip terrible. It's the same thing. If you say the first thing that comes out of your mouth to a customer or to your boss or to a subordinate, there is no telling what will happen to you at that point, because the consequences could be way worse than taking a couple of seconds or minutes or hours and really putting a thoughtful response out. Even if it's a good thing, let me point that out, that a lot of times this is framed as being able to respond to negative things, that somebody comes at you and they're being critical, somebody comes at you and they have something bad to say. But that's not always the case. Excuse me. What can happen is that good things can happen too. It's someone can offer you a promotion, or someone can offer you an opportunity to speak at a conference, or someone offers you a publication contract. If you react in the way that you normally tend to for good news, like, yeah, that's great, let's do this, you might miss out on some really important things, like, maybe that conference happens to be on your daughter's first birthday and you're not going to be able to be there. Maybe the promotion is going to make you have to spend 6 months away from home a year and you don't know that yet. Whatever it is, taking the time to do your due diligence and make sure that you have all the information before you move forward is good, and that's what this article is about. I believe Lindsay is the one who wrote it. Yeah, Lindsay wrote this, and the way she put it is that you need to craft the perfect, or at least better, response, where it may not be the perfect response, but it's better than whatever it is at the very beginning. So think about that one. Then going forward, there's a Velocitize article that I love. Velocitize. I don't know if you guys read Velocitize, but they're great. The next one down is talking about how digital marketers can avoid burnout. And I think that's something that everyone who is in the audience right now can deal with, and really has to deal with, and can really commiserate with, that you need to do some things to keep yourself from burning out. And the number one thing, it's actually number 3, but it's the third one on there, but it's the one I think is the most important. Manage your workload by learning to say no. That is so important, because sometimes you just can't take on another project. Sometimes you have to tell your boss that I can't handle that right now, because it's better to be upfront and know your limitations like that, know when you're getting in over your head and letting someone else handle it and do a good job, than your mental and physical health and well-being going down, the job not get done, and the rest of your opportunities and duties completely get swept under the rug and mishandled. So that's something that I want y'all to think about too, are the things in the Velocitize article. I see that Shanor asks any upcoming new Divi feature updates. And yes, I don't know what they are. I've heard things that have been talked about. I don't know when the next one will be, but yeah, there are some in the pipeline for very soon. I don't know, like I said, I don't know the ETA on them, but soon, with a capital S and a TM. But it'll be soon. There are some in the pipeline that I think y'all are gonna like. Let's see here. Where are we at? Torque Mag has an article on best practices for managing open source components. And this is something we don't see a whole lot. We use a lot of open source components in pretty much everything that we do, because we work on WordPress. And if you take snippets of code, let's say, you might not be able to update those as well as the original core if you remove something. They talk about not copying and pasting for that. They talk about tracking operating system components that you're doing this with. Maybe if you are working with an open source project, that you fork it and do things on your own, which, if you're not familiar with Git and project version control, that there is a fork of WordPress right now. You can fork and make your own WordPress. You can take WordPress and then fork it off of the repository. You can take that and alter that code any way that you want to. It won't be the original WordPress and those changes will be in there, but it will be in your version of it. And so you can do that with any open source tool that you want that's licensed as open source, so that you can really fully customize it. And that's something that there are great forks of great great plugins and things like that we're using right now. I can see it in my head, but I cannot think of what it is. There are some that are really prominent right now that are forks of an old one that ended up not getting updated anymore, and so someone else took over development by forking it. It's great. Also, me saying fork so much reminds me to tell you guys just to watch The Good Place on NBC, because it's one of the funniest shows, and they say fork a lot in it. It's funny. It's one of my favorite TV shows. That's completely off topic, but I kept saying fork, so I had to. The last thing they talk about in this article is maintaining security for it, which is really important in open source, and generally you want to automate that. You want to make sure that you have automated tools so that you can, you always want automated tools for security. Let's see, there are a couple of, the rest of the tutorials are generally good. Obviously, I would not have put them on here if they weren't. But the last one I want to actually talk about today under tutorials is the how to secure. It's a Torque Mag. It's the next to last one, I believe. Let me look here. Yes, it's a Torque Mag article that says how to secure a website with the holy trinity of site security. Security is everything. You guys have to do this. Please, please, please do it. And they break it down into whether you need a web application firewall, where you can get Cloudflare. A lot of times you can get free Cloudflare from places like HostGator. No, SiteGround was the one I was thinking of. I know they offer free Cloudflare. I'm not sure about others. I know others do. That you get an application level security plugin. WPMU Dev has Defender. There are things like that. Two-factor authentication on your login screen. Whatever it is, put something in there to work on your security. And then they talk about backing it up. Make sure that you run backups. We had a question, I think it was last week, about how often to back up your site. Just to talk about that again, just to give that one out in case somebody else was wondering. We had a lot of different ideas in here, from every couple of days to every week to every month, but generally it's on the update schedule that you have. So whenever you're putting out a lot of new content, you're going to want to make sure to keep backups. I try to do them once a week and keep automated backups on sites that are getting constant content updates. So it's different, but you got to make sure that you do it. Please make sure that you got backups. I don't want you guys to lose your sites. I see Uncle Social says the Good Place is on Netflix in the UK and just started it. It's great. It became one of my favorite shows very quick. We binged it on Netflix very quick, and then we rewatched season 1. Maybe we might have watched all of it twice now. It's very good. And that Uncle Social brings up again to Joker that another thing to check in when choosing a host is the backups. See how they back up your site hosting space and cPanels, because they will be making backup of all of your files, everything that you have in your hosting account. I don't know why I said it like that, in your hosting account, and not just your WordPress files that you can back up. So depending on how often they do, even if you get hacked, let's say, I don't like using the word hacked, even if you have malware on there and your site gets compromised in some way, you can often revert back to a hosting provider's backup before that happened and be in a clean slate without any loss whatsoever. So check that out too. Thank you, Uncle Social. That was awesome. Now I want to move into the resources, and resources are generally where I put stuff that I just like sharing. These are the thought generation articles. These are the ones that when you see something on Twitter, you want to share it, or on Facebook. That's why I like the resources so much and rarely get to them. So I wanted to make sure that we at least got a touch on them today. The top two articles are again from Smashing Magazine, that they're marketing articles, but they're also design articles, dealing with the generational needs for different types of websites. And the one that came out today was a rundown of Generation Z. What does that mean for mobile designers? Because now we are getting a generation of users who use the internet in a completely different way than the people who are 15 to 20 years older than I am, and millennials. I mean, I'm an elder millennial, like I'm right on the cusp of that. And so the people who are actually after millennials, we've already moved into the Gen Z folks. We are looking at a new way of really marketing to them. And they just go through it really cool. Like, the internet access is so important to them. There was a survey that Reality Bites did and published by WP Engine. No, a report published by WP Engine, excuse me, and the Center for Generational Kinetics. Generation Z, 55% of them won't go more than 5 hours without the internet. I can't say I will either. And 27% won't go more than one without checking the internet for something. That is incredibly important to know. That is just having that, that apparently 61% of them prefer to shop on websites instead of mobile apps. That's new. I love the Amazon app. I don't use the mobile site. I use the Amazon app. But apparently the vast majority of these folks, you end up using more websites. Things like that, really, because mobile, and they say that's good news, because mobile apps are expensive to build, time-consuming to maintain, and it's very hard to convert users on mobile apps. So that is very good reasoning to do that you have to entertain them. They talk about just different ways that you can do the marketing and design to keep people engaged and personalized, that the Generation Z likes to have personalization whenever they do stuff with name and accounts, stuff very upfront, very them, with like delivery locations and stuff like that. It's really, really, really interesting. It's very long, so be aware. And then the one under it is the older article that they link to from the Generation Z, which is talking about reaching millennials. It's a couple of years old now, and it's talking about reaching millennials through marketing and design, and just the differences in how all of that, how all of us use the internet. Well, I can't say all of us, but by us, I mean me, us. How people use the internet differently. It's neat because they're talking about chatbots for people my age and a little bit younger, that they interact a lot with things like that. That we're about customer service, that we want to reach out and be spoken back to. Where that's where a lot of that interactivity is really focused on people from, say, 22 to 36, 37 years old. That 15-year gap is, well, that 15-year span is about interaction and really having a personal connection, where the later one is about personalization, not so much connection. So it's just really interesting stuff that we all have to keep in mind, how we sell things. Because if you're targeting someone who is in their 60s, you're going to market to them differently than you're going to market to someone in their 30s. And if you're marketing to an 18-year-old, then you're going to market to them differently than you are to someone in their mid-30s. It's just the way that we do. And these articles are full of ideas for that, and really just statistics and things that you may not have necessarily considered as being a generational marketing concern, actually is. Like I don't know, I was like, why is that on there? That's not what it said. It was talking about how like doing ads and things like that, how my generation truly hates ads, and the one above, really Generation X really hates ads. Generation Z doesn't necessarily care that much. Ads on the internet are something that's just kind of there. It's really 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 interesting about that. Um, I don't think anyone, Uncle Social, I see the older millennial and millennial representative. I don't think anybody wants me to represent my entire generation because I'm like a 90-year-old man in a 36-year-old's body, and where I'm like I'm just old and crotchety and angry all the time. So I'm not. I'm really not. Um, but you're currently working on a project selling orthopedic furniture to over 60s and 70s, and you're having to think a lot about how you design the site and its functionality. You absolutely do. The differences in just how you can sell things. I specifically mean the checkout process and how you make the items accessible are going to the different generations and different demographics do actually check out items differently. That the way that we inspect. I know younger people than I do use the quick look a lot more than I do. For me, I always, and everyone I know, looks at the full description of everything, reads it, rather than just using it kind of quick look. Oh, that's not what I need, and move on. That's not the way it is. Where I think that it's yep, plenty of big. Sorry, it'll be the same for people older than I am. Well, you may not even want a quick look button because it may go unused or complicate things. Like you said, big clear buttons, no clever cutting edge features, no dank memes. Yeah, exactly. You really have to think about this stuff. And it's I mean that in the best way possible. In the not that you have to sit down and like think, but it's like you have to think about this, or it's lost money is the I guess the best way to put it. If you don't consider this stuff, your clients are going to lose a lot of money. Um, there was moving on just a little bit. The next one down is the headless e-commerce article I mentioned earlier. Again, if you haven't seen headless WordPress and headless e-commerce anything yet, check it out. Look at how people are using WordPress and different e-commerce platforms together and separately, where they're like using Magento and WordPress and different things like that. I've seen some stuff use the WordPress database and a React front end. Technically, that's what we do with Divi. I mean, Divi is a React front end that works with on WordPress. But there are some that are full-on JavaScript front ends that don't even use the WordPress loop, but use the database and REST API to pull from. React Native can do this. Technically, it's headless WordPress because you can use React Native to run like an e-commerce app and have that database be entirely on a WordPress installation and make all of your calls and Ajax calls with the REST API. So you can do really interesting things with it, but it's also way different from what the rest of us are going to be doing. Well, I can't even say the rest of us, but what we're used to doing would be the better way to put it. Under that, there is an article on the evolution of the default WordPress themes, and I love articles like this. Like, this one's just fun. There is I mean, there's use in it. There is use in knowing all of this stuff and seeing how the evolution moves forward so that we can continue to move forward in a good way. But I just love looking back at this kind of stuff. And like, you will see what what 2013 looks at, what the very original WordPress theme looked like. It was defaulted in 1.5, they said. It was got full widget support. Oh my goodness! In 2.2, it's like that was the I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't 2010. What was the name of it? Kubrick. That was it. I couldn't think of the name of it. That Kubrick was the first default one. Like it's that's what it was whenever I started using WordPress. It was Kubrick. So a lot of you guys may date back to this as well, and then pretty close after that came 2010, the theme, and just seeing how these look as you scroll down and see 2010, 2011, and all of them now to where we get with 2019. It is a very, very interesting evolution, and I just thought that you guys would like to look through it too, because I have a good time with it. I get really, really excited at it. I see William Patton says, the most recent default theme will be forgotten next year. I'll never forget Kubrick, though. It's timeless. I'll never forget Kubrick either. Like, I may forget its name, but I will never forget the theme itself. And I think that this recent theme will be forgotten next year. I don't like it personally. And the reason I don't like it is it's built around the block editor, and I don't think that the block editor is there to customize it yet. We need a good customizable blank theme like Astra or Divi for that. We absolutely do. But I think 2019 did not go far enough in the customization. I hope next year absolutely will. I hope 2020 does good stuff on that one. But I think you're right. It's not nearly as flashy as 2016 or anything. The next one I just want to point out, I've been into different stuff, and I've been into pixel art lately, and so I did an article on the 8 best pixel art makers for designers and artists, and if you guys weren't aware of just how specialized and detailed that you can get with pixel art with stuff called high-bit pixel art, y'all should check this out, because if you're a designer and want something that looks a little bit different, you can really, really, really do some great stuff with these. Scroll through and look at like Pixelator and Piskel. In the comments, I've had people mention Graphics 2 and Pixaki. I've never used Pixaki, but apparently it's a great one on the iPad. Never done that. But I love pixel art. I like making it, bad at it, and learning how to do things. But I wanted to point that out because a lot of you guys, I think, will be able to make some really beautiful things. And if your clients are looking for something different, maybe retro look is it, or you can do high-bit pixel art, which is insanely detailed pixel art, but you can still see the kind of aliased look that it has. It's pretty cool. Then there is a CSS Tricks article. Yeah, CSS Tricks article, a couple below that, called Better Than Native. And this is, again, one of those sites, one of those articles that's talking about progressive web apps versus native apps. And these are, it's very short, like you can read it, it's just some snippets, and there's a link through to an Andy Bell article about that goes more in depth about this. But what they talk about is, as Andy Bell put it, and they talk about on CSS Tricks, is that the idea of a progressive web app, of a website that is a fully functional application, the idea of competing with native apps seems pretty daft. To me, the web gives us so much for free that app developers could only dream of, like URLs, the ability to publish immediately, I believe, in the web, and that building progressive web apps is the way to go. It's not an inclusive walled garden. And Jeremy Keith has an article that says, if the goal of the web is just to compete with native, then we've set the bar way too low, which I think is very, honestly, very thought-provoking, because generally it has been the PWA or native apps. That is where we stand a lot. And he's right. Maybe putting them side by side isn't. Maybe it's apples and oranges for what it is. I don't know where I stand on it, because on one side there are times where I'm like, I don't want to download your app, just work, and other times where I'm like, I wish this one had an app. I don't like this nearly as much, where it's just different, and it's just different, and different experiences for different people. So there may not be a best, but there's definitely a discussion to be made here for different things. And I think Jeremy, I want to end it on just y'all thinking about that. Um, I want to leave it with y'all thinking about that on what is the goal of a web app. Are you trying to pull people from native apps? Are you trying to build an app that will compete with people who have them installed on their computer, or are you, or on their handheld device, or are you competing with something else and pulling ahead? So something cool to think about. But I am out of time, y'all. So I'm going to go on. I'm going to thank you for being here. I see that Peter asked if anyone has done the weekly inquiry about the beep yet. We've mentioned it, but no one specifically asked about it by name. So thanks. The So thanks, Peter. No, it's there's no update on it. I don't think we had someone mention it by name though. So but it is coming. We know that because we love you guys. Now, y'all have a good week. Remember, the next live stream is Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern. That's going to be Mac going through Divi features. And then on Tuesday of next week at 3 p.m. Eastern time, I believe it's Jason going to be going through a use case with everybody, walking you through a tutorial. And then next Friday, of course, I will be back at 3 p.m. Eastern doing this all over again. So hopefully you'll join me. Hopefully you will ring the bell on YouTube here and let them notify you of when we go live. They do not notify you when a page goes live, usually, if you only subscribe, so you have to tell them that you want to be notified. So do that and you'll get a lot of really cool live content. So thank you guys for being fantastic. I hope that your week goes well, and I really appreciate all the help that you guys did today. I want to really, really let you know how great that is for you to be able to come on here, spend an hour of your day, and help other people out to get really set up and see what the WordPress community is, and the Divi Nation, how inclusive and wonderful it is. So give yourselves a big pat on the back, and on that one, I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.